You wanted to spend the weekend in lovely San Diego going to Comic-Con, but your wife said, nah, you got chores. Well, good news for you. I went, and I'm going to tell you all about it. Well, from a Robotech perspective, because we do not have all day. And it's going to be easy to keep this short because there really wasn't a whole lot there to talk about. You know, I've been going to San Diego since 2007. Back then it was all like, hey, check out the Shadow Chronicles. And then they spent a bunch of years at Harmony Gold telling us that, you know, a sequel's in the works and it's not just going to be a Shadow Chronicle. And then in 2014, they were like, whoa, Kickstarter, let's do Robotech Academy. But people were like, nah, we didn't get Shadow Chronicles. What are you talking about? And this is all rehashed, recycled stuff. We're not into it. So then they said, hey, you know what? Sony's got the rights to a live action film. Just hang tight. It's going to blow open all these new doors. And now it's like 10 years later and we've got nothing. And this was the first panel Harmony Gold did where they really didn't even mention Sony. It took a Q&A moment for someone to say something like, hey, why don't you guys make these really cool video games? And Harmony Gold, instead of saying, you know, we don't make video games, we just license a property, said, you know who does make video games? Sony. And maybe they'll make a movie, and then maybe they'll make a video game. And, you know, you can you can hope for that. That's okay. But it's been 10 years now. So I think we can all say that's not going to happen. But what has happened is that Robotech is on Crunchyroll, which is, I think, owned by Sony. And they're rolling out, and already have rolled out in Waspita, and I guess the original Southern Cross is going to be coming to Crunchyroll, and maybe even STF Macross at some point. Although, as of right now, those are all premium features, so you're going to need a Crunchyroll subscription to go along with all your other streaming services if you want to watch those. Simultaneously, Macross is going to Disney Plus. It should be arriving anytime now. In your country, it might already be there. Everything except the original STF Macross outside of Japan, which Harmony Gold has the rights to, so that's why it's not going to show up there. But, you know, this really begs the question, at what point would it make more sense for someone to make a Macross movie than a Robotech movie? Because if we're asking which franchise has momentum right now, the answer to that is painfully obvious. So, is Robotech dead? Well, not quite. There's a guy, Brandon Easton, seems like a big fan. He's doing comic books. You may have seen Robotech, Rick Hunter. That bridges the gap from Macross Saga to the Sentinels, which, you know, seems like a cool place to play in. He seems like a really passionate guy. I haven't checked out the comics. I can't say too much about them, but they obviously look a million times better than the comics that were out there when I was a kid, because, man, those Kumiko things, bad. So every year people go up there and they say, hey, why don't you make this or why don't you make that? And again, Harmony Gold doesn't make anything. They just give their license to someone who does make things. And that's why I am stoked that 3-0 has been attending their panels. 3-0 does make a VF1 toy now, and it has sold better than they expected. So they're now going to have a weathering version that will be exclusive to Big Bad Toy Store. About 2,500 of those, I think, are getting made. I was hoping I could leave the con with one, but they're not even up for pre-order yet. So, you know, at some point you will see that on this channel. So subscribe and look forward to that. There's still a really thick stream of other random merchandise that really doesn't lend itself to my channel. But just so you know, there's plenty of water bottles and t-shirts. There's one booth that had this really cool like broken mirror with a Max VF1A and Miria Q RAW bursting out of it, but they're waiting for Toynami to give them the go ahead to produce that thing. But yeah, there's also a Kickstarter for a new RPG. Again, I don't do those things, but you might. And if you are interested in that, check the description to this video. I'll throw their URL up. As far as I know, it's already blown past what they were hoping to make, but it's your chance to get on the ground level, maybe get some cool Kickstarter benefits. So do check it out if that interests you. I don't think I've ever seen anyone from Toynami at any of the Harmony Gold panels I've gone to, but Toynami always has like a huge booth on the floor in San Diego. And this year, no different. And one of the big deals at that booth for the last couple years has been Mosho's Ride Armor or Cyclone toy that they've been working on. And it has progressed. Now they had a prototype that really looked production ready. It was painted. It was a couple different modes shown. And it's definitely a reinterpretation of the Cyclone. It doesn't, it has cues maybe from the Sentinel Ride Armors. It has cues from the original show and line art, but it seems to be completely its own beast. So I'm looking forward to that, but there's still no info on when it'll come out and how much it will be. And God knows it's probably not going to be cheap. And for the record, I'm a little miffed that Toynami never just purchased the Beagle molds, because I am still, to this day, I was like 2008, guys. To this day, that is still the high watermark of Ride Armor toys. And it's a shame that Beagle and Toynami aren't, well, Beagle's not around. Toynami's just useless. Not producing more of those toys and finishing the line, giving us Yellow, giving us Huke or Rook, as you may know her, if you're on that kind of relationship. The other prototype at the Toynami booth is the Pose Plus Alpha. It's 1/28 scale, which is big. It is so big. And when I saw it last year, I said, that's too big. That's just not going to work. Can you imagine how expensive this thing is going to be if they make it? Which I hope they do, because I would probably find a way to buy it. This year, they brought it back out and they said, look, we made it 100 times more complicated and it's still the same size. So, there's things, guys, there's struts inside the wing to show you inner wing detail. I know. It's weird that people have been clamoring for inner wing detail on toys since the 80s. And it's taken someone this long to figure out a way to charge us more money for that. So I gotta say, I'm really impressed by what they've done. But it doesn't seem to me like it's working towards an actual toy I'm going to be able to buy someday. I think it's just going to end up as like the coolest 3D model at someone in Pose Plus's apartment. But you know what? I hope I continue to see it evolve, and I hope I'm wrong, and I hope someday you've subscribed to my channel and you get to see my review. Really, guys, I think that's pretty much all that was worth mentioning. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Do give me a thumbs up if you appreciate these little recaps, which I know are little. And as always, everybody, I appreciate you checking me out.